All right. Good evening, everybody. How we doing?
We're doing good.
How you all doing tonight?
I ain't gonna disagree. Our little chat off to the side here. Maybe we ought to revamp that intro and have some fun with it with some new stuff. So we can do that. Hey, welcome everybody on our Rumble channel as well. I see there's people over there, and of course on our website, Facist-book, YouTube, you name it. We're pretty much everywhere. And of course, we have our podcast on iHeart. If you miss it tonight, go ahead and log in iHeart or any place you get your podcast. We're pretty much there. Just look for Guns in a 701, and we're gonna be right there for you to download. So with that, let's just get into this, and let's start this baby off with our Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And I'll tell you what, I don't know. I've been watching the news. I shouldn't have here the last couple of days, and it's just a constant assault. But I want to start off the show with one thing that's very pertaining to North Dakota, and why I know I'm not going to be attending because of it now. Usually I'm a delegate for the ND GOP state convention, and I found out that they're, of course, holding it over there in the wasteland of Fargo, and the facility they're holding it at, and at the request, I guess, of the sheriff's department, they're going to be literally treating us like TSA. You got to check in, go through basically a search in a way, coming into the convention. They're going to give you a little clear plastic bag to put your stuff in. No backpacks, no purses, none of that. No knives, no firearms. I mean, are you kidding me? The Republican Party in North Dakota has a platform with a plank on it about the Second Amendment and your freedom to carry, your freedom to possess firearms. It's to a T, but yet we're going to violate that. And I've had this whole big argument. So I would actually tell all the patriots, if you're delegates, tell them to kiss your butt. Don't submit. Don't comply. I'm not going to. So I'm out. I'm not going.
I'm prepared for it tonight because I've got this for you.
There you go. There you go. Only we're going to take that top part.
No, I know. I know. It needs to be worked on.
Can't stand a chance. Anyway, but hey, Dan, good to see you. Good to see everybody there. Josh, Brian, good to have you there. Hey, Brian, I'm going to be in town tomorrow. If you want some tickets for the flamethrower to sell, we got a few. We don't have a heck of a lot left, but I dropped some off because I know Jamie wanted some. Just let me know. You can private message me if you need to, and we'll see what we can do. All right. With all that, you guys got anything you wanted to kind of go over? That was my little quirk. I had to say that about the North Dakota GOP state convention. And
well, later on, I think we need to go over what's going on down in Texas, but we should talk about what we were talking last week, which we had a lot of good response on the Civil War.
We did.
Or the Second Revolution.
Yeah, and I like the Second Revolution better. I think that's what it would be, more so than a Civil War. I know we're going to have Vance talk about it because I thought, last week we talked about having what is the Christian view of what you do, because some tough decisions would have to be made possibly. But I did hear another deal where I was watching, and there's that map. I think that's actually closer to what we would see in possibility. Remember, guys, this is not going to be a civil war like it was the last time. And I agree with what I watched today. I think, and Jamie, thanks for sending me that video. I can tell you right now, it's not going to be a succession of states who form another, they had the Confederate States of America versus the Union. This is going to be factions all over the country. There you go, stars and bars. Anyway, it's going to be factions everywhere. Eventually, there'll be alliances formed, and you're going to see places, but I think you're going to have a lot more smaller groups across the country. And one thing all these maps leave out, and I'm sure you guys can attest to this, what about the other countries that are going to try to come in here? We were the strongest country in the world, and we've been that place they wanted to take forever. They hate us that way because we are been so free. And I guarantee you. What's that?
Or the ones that are already here.
Or the ones that are here. Mexico's not sitting this out, guys.
There's two different thoughts I have on that. One on the Mexico side, I'm thinking that when the gloves are off, it's not going to be, one of those just walk across the border type things. It's going to be a secure border. Texas will make sure of that, and even though you've got California, which will break up into some sections, I still think it's going to be that same way down there. Also, and I got to tell you, I follow, don't ask me why, I'm weird. I follow Canadian politics right now, and Trudeau has screwed up so bad that they're talking the same thing we're talking here in the States. And I don't necessarily I see more alliances, especially on the western side of the of the place, or central and western,
Yeah.
than I see anything else. So yeah.
And I kind of thought about that too with Canada. No one pays attention to the Canadian border, and it's just, I would say it's easier to cross the Canadian border. No one's watching it in a lot of areas. I live close enough to it. I've been up there, and you get up along that North Dakota side of it. I'm telling you, there's a lot of places you could slip. In fact, when we were in college, we did slip across it, not on purpose. One time, we didn't even know we slipped across it. So that happens. But I would look to see both friends and foes slipping across the Canadian border. And there's going to be these little cells all over. And I guarantee you that there's a bunch of them here already. There's a bunch of them here already. They're not our friends. So, and they're here in the Dakotas. They're probably down in Georgia. I have no doubt.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
They're everywhere. I mean, when you watch some of these shows where they're keeping track of these illegals coming in, they go, "Where are you headed to?" They know exactly where they're going. Chicago, New York, Minneapolis. I mean, they named the bigger towns all over the country. So, Sioux Falls, I've seen that mentioned.
Sioux Falls.
Strategy.
What was that, Vance?
Put them all in the big cities. That gives us an easy strategy.
Oh yeah, we know where they're at. So anyway, so Vance, let's go out down the road with what we were going to talk about. And
all right,
what do you think? When it comes to being a Christian, because I've actually been asked this, I'm sure others have had this on their minds. Is when it comes to that aspect, I mean, we're taught, one of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not kill, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to weigh very heavy for some people if it comes down to that situation. So go ahead. I'll just turn it over to you.
Sorry, what was that?
That was me. Sorry.
It will weigh heavy on us believers, because people like myself, will I defend my country? Will I defend my family, myself, and all? Absolutely. Do I want to? I'm not one of those guys that wants this war to happen. I'm not one of those gung-ho, let it happen, I'm ready to fight. I don't want that. I don't ever want to draw my gun up against anybody ever again. You guys know a little bit about my past and some things I've been through, and I don't ever want to be in that place again in my life.
Right.
So obviously, as a minister for many years, I have thought about these things. And y'all know my son was in the military for 10 years, and he served in Iraq. So these things have burdened my mind a lot at times. And I've done some research lately, and I'm going to pull something up here and read some things that really get into that a little bit. It's a little lengthy, but I'll try to get through it somewhat quick, because I think it's an absolutely great article. This question has caused a lot of division in the body of Christ. Should a Christian go to war where he might kill other people when the Bible says to turn the other cheek in Luke 6:29? Is it right to do war against others? Does the Bible forbid it? War is a state declared open and armed conflict between two or more nations. It is sometimes undertaken in self-defense, such as when the U.S. entered WW2 as a result of Japan attacking Pearl Harbor. Other times, however, nations unjustly go to war, and this is unjustly go to war to take spoils from other countries. Murder, on the other hand, is an unlawful taking of life and is always wrong. When nations go to war, it is declared lawful by the countries going to war, sometimes for moral reasons, other times for immoral reasons. Therefore, an immoral war could be considered a form of murder, where a moral war could be in self-defense. But not all war is wrong. It is difficult to determine when the war would be a righteous endeavor, given that the leaders of the nations are not Christian and could easily have ungodly reasons for going to war. We've seen this. Nevertheless, war is an unfortunate reality in this world, and it causes great destruction, misery, and loss of life. It should be avoided if possible and undertaken only in last resort. This is where we'll get into some biblical aspect right here, and I'll end this. The Bible teaches that we have the right to self-defense in Exodus 22:2. If the thief is caught while breaking in and is struck so that he dies, there will be no blood guiltiness on his account. The Bible also tells us to protect the innocent in Deuteronomy 19:10. So innocent blood will not be shed in the midst of your land, which the Lord your God gives you as an inheritance, and blood guiltiness be on you. Also, see, fathers shall not be put on the put to the death for their sons, nor shall sons be put to death for their fathers. Everyone shall be put to death for his own sin. Deuteronomy 24:16. If we were to apply these principles to war, I would conclude that the war is justifiable when it is in self-defense or when it is to protect the innocent. Therefore, a Christian could rightfully engage in war given these positions. Obviously, I did not write that, but I fully agree with that. There is justifications. The Lord in God himself commanded war in certain areas of the Bible. The Amalekites, and telling the Israelites when they crossed over to take the land and to push the others out of the land. So there is biblical justification for war. There's a difference between murder and killing. For righteous and unrighteous reasons.
I agree that there's definitely a difference between self-defense and murder. I mean, murder is just a violent act against somebody for the sake of doing it from an evil person. Let's just face it, that's what that is.
That's what
anybody that wants to kill somebody, and no, that's not a good thing either. Political differences aren't a reason. Now, you threaten my family, you threaten my life, we got a problem.
Right.
And
I mean, that's the whole thing. We go ahead.
There's biblical references in the Bible, like when the Amalekites, when God commanded the Amalekites basically to exterminate sin from a land,
right?
To exterminate sin from that culture, to eradicate it.
And it's not the first time that destruction has taken place. Sodom and Gomorrah comes to mind very quickly. I mean, at times, God himself has taken care of. Yes.
He destroyed it for their sinful nature.
Their sinful nature. And I mean, we're not going to go down a big Bible class down here, but I think it's a very relevant issue, and I'm glad that we're discussing it. It's something we've wandered into this and haven't done this before much, but it's a good reason. If you don't have a sound base in your life, and as far as I'm concerned, Scripture is that, you got issues to begin with. I would say a lot of times when you find these guys who go crazy and they shoot up schools, they shoot up churches, they shoot up malls, whatever it might be. If you look at their backgrounds, guess what? One thing that was missing in their life, God. Usually God, and that's one big issue we have. So tell you what, we are going to go to a break. We're about 15 minutes in. We're going to welcome in one of our brand new sponsors, Double H Guns, Bismarck, North Dakota. Brand new sponsor. We have an FFL now that's a sponsor of the show. We want to welcome them. So Double H Guns, guys, take a listen and stop in there. They got a great selection of everything. I'm going to stop in there tomorrow myself. I'm in Bismarck. So
discover the world of firearms at Bismarck's Double H Gun Shop. With a wide range of products from handguns to rifles, we cater to all your shooting needs. We are your local gun experts. Not only do we sell firearms, reloading supplies, targets, and whatever your heart desires, but we also have a ton of knowledge and answers.
We shoot, we hunt, we compete, we reload.
It's been the Howard's way since 1976, and we ain't fixing to change anything. Visit our website at hhgunshop.com to browse our inventory. Double H Gun Shop, Bismarck's best new and used firearm reloading supply, gunsmithing, and sporting goods store. Double H Guns.
Double H Guns.
1021 South Washington Street, Bismarck, North Dakota. Call 701-223-4888.
Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
All right. Now, I didn't
Ready.
mean to do that second one right away. I was going to do it in a few minutes, but that's both our
That's all
great
right.
sponsors. And again, we want to welcome Double H as a brand new sponsor to the show. Again, 701-223-4848. 701-223-4848. Drop in there and say hi to them. Tell them you heard it right here on Guns in the 701. And I can't say enough about Lauer Auto. Do the same thing. Stop in, talk to Doug. Tell me you heard it right here on Guns in the 701. And hey, Doug got my pickup done, so I'm looking forward to it. And Lynette, I did a little add on to that ad, so I thought I did that for you. I thought you might like those pictures of your husband. Anyway, Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308. All right, there we go. We paid some bills.
There we go. Hey, some of the things on this we were talking about on being prepared, and we go to the prepping stuff as well. We've been talking about that for a couple of weeks now too. And one of the main things that I want to push is that different threats demand a plan, and the plan doesn't do you any good after the fact. You've got to come up with some alternatives and plans for what you and your kids and your family are going to do. Look, my son is on board. Right alongside me. He's more, well, he's a lot like Clay more than he is me. That makes me wonder sometimes. But here's the thing is that if there's a plan to be done, I'm going to prep with Jack. Now, one of the problems I have is I am in a mixed marriage. So, she does not
Democrat and
believe in
Republican.
any of this. She doesn't think that the bad stuff is coming, and that's fine. But I've got to protect her nonetheless. So the plan has to be done, and it's going to be up to me and my boy to get it done. And so, whether we're sheltering in place or moving along, hey, we were talking about the groups you're going to have to worry about. Of course, mob violence is a big thing, and we see mob violence happening on TV all over the place. Cars being stopped for crazy, crazy things, and people are getting hurt and damaged and killed. And you know what? It doesn't get talked about enough. It doesn't get talked about. Of course, you got active killer attacks that are going on right now in the United States, and we've got to be prepared because I'm not sitting around waiting for the government to come and save me because they don't care about me.
You mean you're not going to call 911 and wait for the police to come save you? I mean, or are you going to get a double barrel shotgun and shoot through the door?
I have a 50-50 love of all the police officers here in the Mitchell and the surrounding area. And of course, that goes to our sheriffs in our county. There's 50% of them that are smart, very smart people. And then I'm taking that 50-50 chance that if I call, that the other half is going to show up. So, better be prepared for myself than, have them bring a body bag to pick me up.
So I have to put this up here.
Our president said all you need is a double barrel shotgun and you just shoot through the door.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, just take care of it right there. Hey, one shot Cap. I thought he put a great comment up, and that goes back to what we were just talking about with as Christians. Remember what Sergeant York went through? Absolutely. Well, and we had conscientious objectors all the time. I mean, I can't remember the name of the guy, but that's when they hit the beaches of Normandy and Iwo Jima, and he didn't pick up a gun. I can't remember his name. I can't. It slips my mind right now. Yeah, but what was the guy's name? But he went in there, was never hit, and rescued people and lowered them down and lowered them down.
70-something people he lowered down that ridge.
So I guess I look at that and go, he must have had the hand of God with him to not be hit, to not die. As many times he went out there and recovered his soldier mates and his people and his friends. I mean, think about the courage that took. But yeah, look at Sergeant York. Same thing.
Desmond Doss.
Desmond Doss. There you go.
Desmond Doss.
Yep. Thank you, John.
That's one of his favorite movies.
So, I mean, it's not unusual. And we've seen those things where I'm not going to pick up a gun. I'm not going to. And remember, they tried to get him to quit. They wanted to discharge, and he would not do it.
He became the biggest hero on that ridge.
Yes, he did.
He was not afraid of anything.
There's our guys. Yep, Desmond. Yep, you're right, guys. John says he just watched it today.
That's one of his favorite movies.
But I think that it's a good point that you can still be a Christian. You can still serve your Lord. You can still have your belief. And there is a place for you there in the fight. Yeah. Whether it be picking up a rifle, or maybe you're not. Maybe you're a medic. Maybe you do what that guy did, and you go in with your true 100% faith, because that's what he did. Yeah. I don't know if that. I'd be hard pressed not to take a gun with me.
Yeah.
but he didn't. So hats off to him. But as far as Mike, you're talking about, yeah, what are you going to face? Mobs. There's going to be mobs out there.
Yeah.
We've talked about this many times. Just a trip for you to get here, what you might encounter. Will the bridges be open? You've got a big river, the Missouri River. It's not exactly small. You're going to have to find a place to cross. Are them places going to even be accessible, or are you going to have to pay some kind of toll?
Mm-hmm.
The mobs are going to be different though, because bullets will be flying this time.
Yes, they will.
Yeah.
People will fight back.
Like you saw by the fake Black Lives Matter type people.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't face any opposition.
Exactly.
Well, they did. Mr. Rittenhouse, he showed them who was boss.
But there'll be a whole bunch of Kyles out there this time. It
Yes,
won't
there
be
will
a
be.
few of them. It'll be a
Yes.
bunch of them.
That's who we need on as a guest.
There you go.
But it's going to be a different world. Keith O'Donnell, I like this. That's why you need multiple 30 rounds, 30 rounder mags. Got him.
Yeah.
Got him.
Not a problem.
Yeah, not a problem.
Not a problem. Yeah.
Just got some more in.
Teaching your family, teaching your loved ones, and teaching those that are like-minded in a situational awareness. I mean, you got to be able to have a plan, situational, what's going on.
Absolutely.
I got to travel down the Sioux Falls and over to Brookings and whatnot down here for tournaments and this and that. And I worry because there are some areas that are no-goes, and there are some areas that they say you're safe because, like you said, there's always a police officer around. And it's like, no, that's not true. That's not always true. And sometimes you're not safe because there is a police officer around, because sometimes they don't choose sides. You just end up being a collateral.
Situational awareness is extremely important. Clay and I have traveled a lot together between hunting trips and RA trips. I know you guys have traveled together a lot for the NRA trips and stuff. And I noticed the same thing with all of our hunting buddies, all of our gun buddies. When we go into a restaurant, we don't like our backs to the door, and the first thing we look for is the exit, and we look for our allies. Mm-hmm. We are very aware of our situation at all times.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys out there listening, but when I go into a restaurant, you can ask my wife because she gets annoyed by it. I'm always looking where I'm going to sit. I actually request places. I'm not having my back to the door or a window. Not happening. I want to be able to see what's coming at me. You never know what's going to walk through that door, especially today. It annoys her a little bit, but she's gotten used to it over the years. But it's a real thing, guys. I seriously do that.
Well, remember what I told you earlier off air is like when I was a kid, second grade, I had that teacher that had that poster high up on the wall. It says, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you.
That's right.
And
that's right.
That stuck with me all these years. I mean, you've got to have a slight amount of paranoia to be able to survive in this world.
Yep, absolutely.
And also, this used to bother Tracy. I'm not this bad anymore, but when Tracy and I first started dating and got married, I was not that far out of that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So even at red lights, I didn't like to be trapped in. I needed to be able to get out of traffic. I had to be the first or the last or on a side where I could get out of that traffic quick. I'm not that bad anymore, but I used to be.
I see David. He said, "Come to downtown Seattle and watch the uncaged animals." Yeah, I can imagine. I ain't been out there in a long, long time, thank goodness. But it was a shithole then, and I bet it hasn't gotten any better.
And
by the way, David, I seen you called. I didn't get a chance to call you back, but I'll tell you what. I'll give you a holler tomorrow when I'm on the road.
And a little bit what we were talking about on situations. If something bad happened and it all broke out here in the United States, you have to think even these areas that we know that are terrible, there's going to be a lot of refugees coming our way, and that's the thing. They're all going to move to the center of the country because they think it's going to be safer out here, and it technically it will, but they're going to be bringing problems with them,
but not
too,
for them.
Yeah.
It won't be safer.
Like I said, we've talked about it many times. When you come through these situations, you have to be able to offer something to the people's land you're going on, that if you're wanting to either stay the night or passing through or take refuge, you have to have something to offer, some sort of skill. And whether that's protecting, of course, your land and your family or doing chores or whatever it is, you've got to have some sort of skill. And just, thinking that you're going to walk around with a 6-shooter and walk across the country and basically, be like a movie. It's not a movie.
Yeah, it isn't a movie, and your bow ain't gonna do it either. You better have some firepower.
Yeah.
I see these movies too. It's like, oh, I got my little bow. Good for you.
Yeah,
for you.
I'm watching Rambo.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's gonna be, who knows what situations play out. Is it gonna be government that does it? I was just listening to a program today, and they're talking about when what starts the Civil War. One guy pointed out, and I thought this was a good example. He goes, it could be something as small as, you take like the Bundy thing. Okay. One little mishap, one little firing, and the feds knew it. That's why that didn't blow up, because they knew it was going to happen. That could set it off.
Yeah. Right.
Can you imagine what that could have happened down there? Now, we did see that play out in Washington somewhat when they took out Lavoie. Finicum, that was murder. That was, as far as I'm concerned, that was federally sponsored murder.
Absolutely. I agree.
And it played out live for everybody to watch.
Yep.
Marty's listening, Marty, and Marty can attest to that. Marty knows all about it out there. But, what will start it? I don't know. It could be something as simple as, hey, you guys kept Trump off the ballot. We're going to go up there. Oh, they're mad. They're going to shoot, and then they're going to leave. And then all of a sudden they're going to go down to that state, and they're going to take out you and your friends. And it could be where that could grow. I mean, I could see that, Hatfield, McCoy type thing happening.
Right.
Who knows? I don't know what'll start it. I hope it never starts.
I believe.
Look at the Texas thing right now.
Yeah.
Is that the beginning? Because who's going to finally back down? Because I don't think them Texas boys are going to fight back. I just saw Paxton come and take it. I just saw an interview with Paxton tonight beforehand on the War Room. I'm telling you, they're not going to back down.
No. Well, as a matter of fact, on that note, this was from a couple weeks ago. This is from the Eagle Pass, I do believe. Mm-hmm. Governor Abbott, of course, using Texas National Guard to obstruct and create chaos at the border. This is from Joaquin Castro, one of the
Castro.
Castro's, yeah, it's one of these twins that are in the politics, and they do absolutely nothing. But of course, that's just that's what they're thinking right there. It's like we're obstructing.
And that's exactly, remember, they're right, we're wrong. That's the way they believe.
Right.
And if we actually, and let's face it, there was an article, don't quote me, I think it's Article 4, but it is a duty to protect your border. That's a constitutional duty. So the president should be already lining it with the military and shutting it down. But good for Abbott and good for Paxton and good for them guys that are upholding the law and protecting their own border. Good for them. I support it 100%. And I think that if the feds try to go in there and do something really stupid, you're going to see people flock from across the nation go down there, and they will back the Texas boys. I have no doubt. That's my prediction. Let's get to a few of these comments here quickly. We got Josh Patterson. He's chiming. He says, my fiance has figured out that I will not sit with my back to the door at places. She always told me to just sit. So nope, got to see what's coming and what's going. Absolutely. What's Corey? Hey, Corey. He says, and if we are illegally carrying when we eat at the Waffle House with cops in there, they're eating. That's right. A little backstory on that. Marty Beard. Practice with your family on every situation that may arise. You'd be surprised how unprepared the average family is to defend that. Absolutely. There's a lot of people, they don't practice any. I mean, they only go practice to go hunting. So why practice anything else?
Right. And, that's an entirely different situation. But, and Lynette mentioned it there earlier. It says about my mixed marriage. It says that's a political mixed marriage. But yeah, it's.
He's married to a Democrat. In fact, there is a picture somewhere. I think you have it. Of me and your wife standing together with my arm around her. She's got a Hillary t-shirt. I believe I had a Trump, didn't I?
I believe you had a Trump one, yeah.
No.
Yeah. And she was smiling. She was
smiling. She loved you back then.
You're just not allowed to come out and play with us anymore.
I know.
Stock shows. So.
I sneak.
David Fetting says, never insult 7 men when all you got is a 6-shooter. True. Unless you got 2 lined up. Dan Brown. So Dan's chiming in here, and I have a lot of respect for Dan. He was a great volunteer. He was on our state fund committee in North Dakota. Plus, he was in law enforcement, and Dan was a good one. He was a great one. That's the kind of guys we like on there. But he says, speaking as a retired law enforcement, firearms and use of deadly force instructor, you don't use deadly force to kill your assailant. You use that force to stop the person who's threatening your life. If he dies, That is a consequence of his action. That's probably the best way to put it, Dan. I don't think anybody wants to kill anybody that's of sane mind. I know I don't, but I will if I'm forced to. I don't want to do that. I never want to have to live with that. I don't know about you guys. Do you?
Well, on that same note, you think about it. We're always demonized in the media about being killers and this and that and everything else. And I'm like, if that was true, there'd be a lot less of them. And so it doesn't make any sense. We're the ones that have been standing for the Constitution all this time. They're the ones that have been trying to erode it. And yet we're the bad guys always.
Well, there's what, 300 to 400 plus million estimated firearms. That's just estimated. They have no clue how many firearms in this country.
I got something for you here.
But, and I forget how many, there you go, how many pieces of ammunition we have. If we were the problem, if we really were the people they say we are, we're going to go around, kill you, take over, and just squash our opposition with force. It had already been done. And we didn't do it because that's not us. That's not what we do.
See, 35% in South Dakota is rookie numbers. We need to get those numbers up.
I don't believe that.
I don't either. You got to remember, I was looking at that chart when I saw it earlier. Those, I'm guessing, who knows where they took those numbers? I have no clue.
But who's answering the question? Oh, well,
right.
I've got 14, this and that.
Most people, if you had a stranger come up and ask, how many guns you got? Step in my house, you might find out. But
on me,
I'm
or
not
all
telling
together?
you. What's that?
On me or all together?
Yeah, on me in the pickup. But I imagine that nobody really answers that question correctly.
Oh,
no.
And when you look at, and then did they compare it percentage-wise of the population, of the area? There's a lot of different factors you take in to get a percentage. And
right.
I imagine that's kind of why they went with that. And they probably just, they took the number of guns that they knew, estimated, whatever. Maybe they used the ATF background check numbers and divided by the population and arrived at that. I don't know.
Right.
If you look at Wyoming. Wyoming's right now, I don't know what this chart shows, but
53.
I can tell you, yeah, they're a little bit under because I've seen several of them that shows Wyoming way above that, and as the number one state of gun owners, they own the most guns per person in the state.
Yeah,
of Wyoming.
Texas at 35.7%, actually 0.1% or whatever, or a little bit less than us. I don't know about that one. So
I don't either. And you got to remember, Texas has how many people in it? So if they just take background check numbers, that don't really give you a good number. So I don't know how they arrived to it, but. The bottom line is there's a lot of guns out there in the hands of the private people. We are the biggest military in the United States if we need to be.
Clay, I like the comment that I think Keith O'Donnell put up just a minute ago, that Texas is the only state that can legally. Could you imagine if they actually voted and separated and said, okay, now we're going to take care of the border and started pushing them back?
I'll tell you what. If this keeps going, you might see it.
Yeah.
But I would imagine if you see that, you're going to see it.
Well,
I think you're going to see other states follow suit around it. I think that would be something that would set off, not necessarily a civil war, but it's definitely going to set off a split in the country. And like I keep telling people, okay, we talk about what would happen within the United States. That's not even the issue. Do you think the other countries, like we just talked about earlier, are not going to take advantage of that and try to come in here and seize some land with their militaries? I very much believe that would happen. I think China was a player, no doubt. Who knows about Russia? I mean, I don't know how strong they are or aren't, but it's not going to be good. None of this leads to a good situation. Now, coming out the back end might be better at some point, but it's going to be a long journey. I don't think it's going to be quick, that's for sure. It's something I never thought that I'd be talking about right now today. I figured it'd be long after I was dead.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's been coming for a long time. I mean,
building.
When you continually erode not only, of course, the law of the land, and you erode them for terrible reasons, and to take away your rights more and more and more, and not only take away the rights, but take away the moral rights of people in our country, you are looking at becoming this. You're looking at a possibility of succession in some areas, and more than I think. And that's why I mean, I laugh about this. Getting there late. Hey, Gene.
It's okay, Gene. You're late. That's okay.
I mean, you know what? That's not looking good for loyalists right there. I mean, that's not looking good at all, as a matter of fact. And like I said,
No.
that's just a projection, but that's not looking good for them. And you're looking at Texas is going to have a lot of support around there. And like I said, New Mexico and Arizona, I'm not thinking that is as blue as they say, but
I don't either. And then you look at a state like Utah. Let's face it, Utah is a Mormon state. I mean, they created that state.
Yeah.
And and again, you got the state border lines on there, guys. Them lines are gone if this happens. They're going to be a line, but it won't necessarily be straight or symmetrical. It's going to be a little.
Well, you're going to see
around.
tribal lands. Tribal lands are going to solidify as well, and I think that's going to be another strong player in this whole thing as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You guys been to the res. You really think they're going to do anything?
Well, I don't.
The people themselves, nah.
I know
they're going to go. They're going to go along with who's ever in control.
I only know one.
And he's coming to my place.
Who's a great good friend of ours that we want on our side.
I can tell you right now. I mean, I watch them now here. I live here. I live right in the heart of Standing Rock. The government ain't strong enough to do nothing or organized. They depend on the feds for everything. So I'm not worried about the actual Standing Rock tribe or the BIA agents because they're either going to have to join us or they won't exist. We'll just put it that way. And there's that whole issue. We won't even go down that tonight. But as far as the people themselves, they don't fight now for nothing. I mean, when China virus rolled through, they rolled over and did whatever they were told to do again. I just couldn't believe it that here's a nation, a sovereign nation, they claim, who said they were completely oppressed by the white people, which they were. It was horrible what happened. It really was. But now they're letting them do it to them again. Why would they listen to the government again?
Yeah.
And they just did everything they were told. Yeah, that's what they do. So I'm not really. There are tribes now. I think if you get down there to Florida, don't think I want to take them boys on down there.
The Miccosukee Swamp Indians.
Yeah, no, no. And I think when you go down here to the Cheyenne Reservation, that's a little different to the south of me. They're a little bit more fighty.
Yeah.
and you get down that Eagle Butte country down in there. I think now those people might be willing to hold their own. And who knows? They might be with us. We might join together because we got the same
maps
goal.
I've seen where that's consolidation in certain areas. But you're right. I mean, but
it would be very interesting to see how that played out too. It really would. But
I think there'd be a small handful on all the reservations, just like on we know a few on Standing Rock there in Cheyenne that small handful out of a large.
Well, the one you're talking about, I know he'll make his way here.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to do with Franny, but whatever.
I mean, at his place, he knows
they don't like
the
me.
distance of every hill and every rock. So if people start coming in, he knows exactly what to dial into.
I just got to keep a good supply of bush lights somehow. Because we'll have to make our own.
Yeah.
Stockpile of kegs.
Oh, man.
Let's get back to some of these comments here. According to Yakamoto, there's a gun behind every blade of grass. There is. It's funny you mentioned that, Gene. I've been watching it's a make-believe series, but it's called The Man in the High Tower. Have any of you ever heard of that?
It's a great series.
Guys, watch it.
Philip K. Dick.
Yeah, it's an interesting take on the United States. Is if Germany and Japan basically we defeated the United States. And, Germany was working on an A-bomb.
Yep.
And what if they'd have reached that and attained that before we did? You'd see a whole different world. It's a great series. Go watch it. So, yeah, you're right. Yamamoto, right?
Yamamoto.
I don't speak Japanese very good. But anyway, that I believe he is the one that said that. That's why they would never invade the homeland here, because there was a gun behind every blade of grass.
Right. And it hasn't gotten less.
No,
no, that's the thing you have to think about. That might be a 70-year-old quote, but it has not gotten less. It has gotten more.
Yeah, it's a 70-year-old quote with 7,000 times more of the guns now, probably. Right. So yeah, it's interesting. Kenny Lanu, he says he's just here to get his flamethrower. By the way, Kenny, thanks for buying tickets on that. Kenny, he threw it all in. He got 5 of them, so he got $100 worth. So he's in, guys. He's got more tickets than most of you. So you have to buy them few. By the way, we're at just. Did you get yours in the mail, Mike?
Not today. I did check today, so I'm hoping tomorrow.
Looking. They should be there.
Unless my mailman suddenly turns in 30 tickets.
So you've got 30. He's got 30 down there. With all that said, We probably are, I think my last count, we're at 94 sold. So we're not doing too bad. We just launched it really. And anyone wants any, let me know. Vance, I know, got his. I got mine. Mike's got some. So we're good to go. We
Don't forget to take some up to H&H tomorrow.
taking them with me tomorrow. And I'll have them at stock show too when I'm down there.
There you go.
And like Eric says, it only takes one to win. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Everybody seems to win the gun for Farm Bureau. They only buy one, it seems. So Gene Cox puts in here, he goes, in 1861, he said that war was only supposed to last 3 to 6 months. Yeah, we saw how that went, didn't we? Any comments on Kelly Armstrong running for governor? Tell you what, Corey, we're going to wrap. We'll do a little bit more here. Let's wrap our Civil War discussion up. Then we'll come back. We'll address Kelly Armstrong, and then we can roll into some of the other things we're going to talk about.
Right.
So I think that's the thing to do. Let's go ahead and thank some of our sponsors here, and we'll be right back.
Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake.
Make no mistake.
Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
All right. I still love that voiceover. You did a great job there.
Yeah,
Again,
that was
thanks
really
for
good.
Laura. I'm going to see Doug. That, by the way, at the end of that ad, that's Doug. So just so you guys know, we're not BSing you. That is a true Second Amendment patriot. And he's one of the ranges that Jamie goes to. And we had a Second Amendment day up there. And he's a true blue guy. So now you know what he looks like. So if you stop in there, say hi to Doug, and he'll get you set up. So,
Yep.
All right, quickly, let's just do a quick wrap on Civil War. Vance, why don't you go first? Then we'll move on to our next thing here.
Well, as I said earlier and read in that article, there is justification for Christians killing. Murder is a dark place and the dark evilness that comes from the heart, and killing is in defense of the innocent or yourselves. So I believe that we are completely justified in entering a righteous war.
Nope. Amen.
And on that note, I
and
mean,
of course, none of us want to, and I don't believe it's just us Christians. I believe people that are generally just good-hearted don't want to go to war.
no.
But justifiably as Christians, yes.
But I'd rather be Old Testament and survive.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry to say that, but it's just the way it is. It just got there we go, 55.5% North Dakota. Those are rookie numbers, don't? Or South Dakota.
Yeah.
You need to get those up.
55.3 in South Dakota, North Dakota 55.1, Montana 66.3, and Wyoming 66.2. And that's probably a better number, but I think it's even higher than that. But.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Mike?
On the subjects?
Yeah, you want to add on to anything in the Civil War discussion?
No, I've got a bunch of stuff. I'm trying to figure out right now. We're still getting in the working phase, and I'm still working on trying to post things to our webpage at gunsinthe701.com. I'm going to start writing some stuff and putting some of the stuff in that I find in there. Of course,
Well, we have a blog spot there.
yeah,
You
we got a
realize
blog
that.
spot. I need to start doing that. And I
we've
want to
done
talk
a couple.
about Jamie real quick. Of course, 701 Nation had a good show, about a good 20-minute show on last night or something like that, and talking about the 6.5 Creedmoor that he was using, and it was pretty sweet. It's on my Christmas list, but one of his new builds.
Actually, it's a 6.5 Grendel.
Was it a 6.5 Grendel?
I believe that was his Grendel.
Yeah. So definitely need to take a look at that show as well. Of course, check out Jamie and check out 701 Nation.
Yep, and 701 Nation will be going live tomorrow night, 6 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock Central. He's going to have Scotty Buckmeyer, Dakota Prairie Outdoors, and that'll be coming live, all the same platforms you're listening to tonight. And like I said, Jamie's got a little different thing he went with here, and it seems like it's a good combination for both Guns and the 701. Basically, 701 Nation is part of Guns and 701 Productions. So, yeah, you're supporting both guys. And that's a great thing. Let's build our base. So I'm just going to go through a few more of these before we come back to Kelly Armstrong. And as far as I'm concerned, the Civil War, could it happen? I think it's inevitable at one point. I don't know when that happens. I hope I never see it. I hope that I never have to do the things, that may be needed for that. And nobody wants to do that. As Vance said, it'd be a bad thing, guys. This country is the bastion of freedom still. And if the USA goes away, there's no place else to go. So we need to try and salvage the USA in our constitutional republic. And I hope we're able to accomplish that. I don't want to see the war that I do believe is coming, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And I can tell you one thing, unless you have fair elections, the nation's done anyway. Every single country that goes down the road of tyranny, they lose their elections and they lose their guns. That's the two main things.
Right.
But if civil war is going to come, I prefer it come now and let us guys fight it. I don't want my grandsons having to do this. I'd say my sons, but my sons are young men. Right?
Mine are at that age. They're going to be part of it. I have no doubt.
Yeah, your boys I know will be fighting. Jack will be fighting, unfortunately.
And luckily, both my boys are very efficient and they can handle firearms. That's not even an issue here. But I don't want to see them face that. I can't even imagine.
I got to tell you, one of the things that I worry about is that our boys, or your boys, Vance, are old enough now. But me and Clay's boys are getting close to that age, and I don't want them conscripted into something where they're fighting against the right side.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Keith O'Donnell, he said something about look at the DAPL thing that happened in North Dakota. Absolutely, that was horrible. We should have went in there and cleared it out. We should have got a hold of it right away before it started going, and it turned into the riot it did. But I can tell you firsthand from the people that visited that area, there was actually people that disappeared there. There was plenty of guns in there. There was plenty of crime. There was drugs. It was like a miniature city full of the most vile things you can think of. It wasn't a good thing at all. So
I went in there as a representative of clergy for Rock Creek, and some of the things I saw in there, I won't even mention on here. It was vile and disgusting.
One of the things that I remember,
of all the evil things, and they were probably taking place there.
One of the things I remember, Vance, you were working, delivering oil back then. Gas and whatnot, and had this big RV, just a hunk of crap, showed up, and it was just running on fumes and basically breaking down and
protesting gas and oil.
It was basically pulling a big load of wood that's not going to last very long at all. And that was the first thing they asked you. How come you're not, going out there with us? And I'm like you're at a gas station, son.
I told them, I said, you know what? 8 inches on the other side of that wall is over 100,000 gallons of my livelihood.
Right. There you go.
And what is getting you to that protest.
That's right. I like what David says there. He says, so succession, would that mean no more federal aid? He says, I'm not seeing a disadvantage here. I do like the way of thinking. Kenny Lanau, he's got in here. He goes, the big cities will be the first to fall. I think you're right there. Look at New Orleans and the hurricane hits and when they sit and wait for the government to save it. I think you're absolutely right. That mentality in the cities, there's some that don't think that way, but yes.
They'll destroy themselves.
The big cities are falling. They're going to fall fast. And here's what's going to happen there, though. There's going to be no law and order. There's going to be people, basically warlords, I guess, for lack of a better term, that will take over areas of them great big cities. We saw that in Seattle. Remember the Chaz district?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That was literally a warlord there.
Can you imagine being a business owner in that district in Portland and all that, and then and paying your taxes and having them still coming to you say, pay your taxes? And I'm like, for what? Nobody can come on the street. Nobody can come shop at my shop. And what windows I have, I've got boarded up because they keep breaking them out because I'm the man, because I've got a business. Man.
Gene,
I believe those big cities will literally destroy themselves. We won't even have to.
No, they'll be in ruins. Gene Cox says, he goes, and this is going back to when we were talking about guns and who's got them. I don't recall the name of the program, but there was a donation drive to gather gun donations to send to England for fear of German invasion. Yeah, then I can't remember what that. I think I saw that same program, Gene. Let's see. He says, David says, that's the guys buying without CC permits. Must have been when we were talking about who has the guns, who doesn't.
Yeah.
And then that says, if I was ever asked how many I had, I'd say 0, big none of your business. And
They
Doug, of
lost
course,
him. Lost him in the flood. What flood? I don't
Yeah.
know. One of the big ones.
Doug chimed in. He goes, and this is in reference to what we were talking about with other kids. He goes, yes, so will my boys. They're going to be involved in it, and they will. They're at that age now. And John, he says, I'd rather do it than have my sons do it. I mean, this is the slogan. This is the mantra. We all, if it has to come, I want it to come in my time. And I know
and that's 3 of my grandsons.
What's that?
And what John's talking about, that's 3 of my grandsons.
Of them, yep. Absolutely. So, all right. Well, I guess I think we should move on. I think we've kind of beat this horse enough here tonight for sure. Bottom line is we don't want to see it. Prepare for it. What will it look like? We don't know. We have ideas. I would say that the best thing you can do is get a good group of people behind you. And if things start falling apart, get them together, get in one spot. You can't do it alone. Mike said that. Vance has said that. You can't do it alone. You're going to have other people with you and basically build your defenses one way or another. And, hold your own. Take care of yourselves. That's all you can do in the beginning of it. That's what it'll be. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, I guess let's take another advertisement. We'll thank with our brand new sponsor, Double H Guns, and then we're going to come back. I want to touch on the Chevron decision because I think it's kind of important how it will play out with ATF and Department of Justice. So stick with us, guys. We'll be right back.
Discover the world of firearms at Bismarck's Double H Gun Shop. With a wide range of products from handguns to rifles, we cater to all your shooting needs. We are your local gun experts. Not only do we sell firearms, reloading supplies, targets, and whatever your heart desires, but we also have a ton of knowledge and answers.
We shoot, we hunt, we compete, we reload.
It's been the Howard's way since 1976, and we ain't fixing to change anything. Visit our website at hhgunshop.com to browse our inventory. Double H Gun Shop, Bismarck's best new and used firearm reloading supply, gunsmithing, and sporting goods store. Double H Guns.
Double H Guns.
1021 South Washington Street, Bismarck, North Dakota. Call 701-223-4888.
All right, guys. Double H Guns right down there in Bismarck. Again, 701-223-4848. That's an easy one to take care of, isn't it? By the way, Mike, I hear that they're kind of into the older stuff and may be able to find the ammo you were looking for your gun.
8mm Mauser.
I'm going to look tomorrow for you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
See if they've got any, because I guess they do a lot of that up there.
Well, my dad bought me an older rifle. As a matter of fact, he's about 75 years old. Years ago when he was still alive, and 8mm Mauser, and I love the way it shoots, and I just don't have any ammo for it. And I've got the dies for it to remake shells, but
I do know that David is listening. 1760 Sports, again, another great supporter of the show. David, maybe you can help him out if you have any ideas. 8mm Mauser is what he's looking for, or he says he can reload. So we might be able to help you out here, Mike.
There we go.
We're going to give it a good whirl anyway.
We got some good comments today. We got some good comments.
Chevron decision. I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with that. That goes back to, I believe, 1984. It had to do with fishing and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And essentially, they wanted to have inspectors for the fishing industry and then make the fishermen pay it. I think it's like a $700. Now think about that, $700, for these inspections. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. Why should we pay for it? It's your guys' deal. This is in a nutshell. It goes to court, and of course, it was upheld, and it's been the law of the land ever since. I think it's an overreach of government infringement myself. If they're going to require it, they should pay for it. Shouldn't even be doing it what they were doing. Fast forward to now, we had a case go before the Supreme Court and thought it was probably going to be a pretty good case and overturn it. Unfortunately, we had a 5-4 decision. So what does that mean for gun owners? Well, I unfortunately think that this is going to apply now to these things we've been seeing, like ammo regulations, restrictions. I think that just as Bruin did the historical use of firearms and has overturned a whole bunch of things and killed these cases, I think that this could be just as bad, because you're going to see rogue ATF bureaucratic agencies like them say, hey, this opens the door. Yes, we do have the right now, because it's not specified. So obviously then we should take the power. And I think you're going to start seeing a lot of things come out now that are going to be more towards things you add to your gun, ammunition, maybe the bullets, powder, primers, you name it. I think they're going to take this decision. And unless it gets challenged again, that'll be an interesting one. If they do it now, especially with firearms, and firearm components, and then take that to the Supreme Court. Does the Supreme Court go base it off of the Bruin decision, or are they going to overturn everything with a new ruling? I don't know. It was a bad decision. It was not a constitutional decision, and this is why the Supreme Court, I want to remind everybody, does not interpretate the Constitution. They're to interpretate the law according to the Constitution and the constitutionality of the law. They have quit doing that years ago, and that's how we got here with so much of this. The Supreme Court doesn't have the power, nor did they ever have the power to interpretate the Constitution. It's not a living document. It's not fluid. It is very, very plain and clear as to what the government can and cannot do in the Constitution. So go ahead, Mike.
Exactly like that court case we've been talking about last couple of weeks over on KFYR, talking about in California, where they want to put cameras in all of the gun shops, both inside and outside, to register everybody who walks into the place. And they want the business owners to pay for it, maintain the tapes, and you have to maintain the tapes. You have to keep them. And if you don't keep the tapes and you're missing a week or so like that, you're going to get fined and dinged and everything else. It's one more way of eroding your rights and making you pay for it. That's the worst thing about you're losing your rights and they're making you pay for it. So it's exactly like the Chevron case.
I think it is. I think that now California is going to take that Chevron decision and go, wait a second, we can do this now.
All right.
Because it is just like that. You're forcing an industry to pay for regulation that the government is requiring. And that's what's bad. They just turned power over to nameless, bureaucratic alphabet agencies that answer to nobody. This is not how it's supposed to work. It completely oversteps checks and balances 100%. And I think it does.
And I don't think we can 100% blame Democrats, because our Republicans way too many times are waffling and voting with the Democrats to allow these things to happen.
They are.
We have way too many weak Republicans. And, you know, something Clay said many years ago that resonated with me is that I'm not necessarily a Republican. I'm a constitutional conservative.
That's me. I'm a constitutional conservative who votes Republican a lot.
Exactly. I just think we got too many weak people in the Republican Party that are allowing these things to happen. And the Republican Party is destroying itself.
Look at our state party. They're going to hold a state convention with a plank in our platform about the Second Amendment in a town that hates gun rights, at a facility that evidently hates gun rights and private property rights. I mean, this is our own party. Who the hell dropped the ball on that? Don't give me the crap. You can't change it either. If I was the chairman of the party, I'd say, sorry, I'd go find a facility that wants us somewhere in a different town. They got till June to do this. It could be done. They don't want to do it. They're just going to go along to get along. And I'm done. I will not comply.
Right.
Hey, Gene chimed in there, Mike.
I know. I wrote it down.
So there you go. In fact, you still got Gene's number. If you don't, I'll give it to you. I'm sure Gene's okay with that, and you guys can touch base on that.
That'd be cool.
So there, we might have that solved for you.
Oh, that'd be nice.
So David says that he visited with some locals from downtown Seattle. He said they are building. Let's see, the building owners hired mercenaries to take their property back. Wow.
Yeah.
See, I didn't hear about that anywhere. Did you guys?
Yeah, actually, I'll tell you where I heard it. I heard it on the BBC radio network.
Go figure.
Because you're not going to hear it here. Yeah, and that's the sad thing is that sometimes you have to go so far outside the United States to get any type of news that's happening here, because we're so used to the Kardashians or this or that or whatever stories taking place today. Or, somebody didn't get a Grammy, somebody didn't get nominated for an Oscar. And I'm like, I don't care. I mean,
or what Taylor Swift's doing.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, your rights are being taken away. But hey, did you hear what Kim Kardashian said? You're like, well, no, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, no, I'm pop culture. I'm news. So I got to put this one up because it mentions our sponsors. There you go. Brian says, you can walk down to Double H while Lauer is working. Lauer, gotta get that right, is working on your vehicle. Yeah, they're just right there on South Washington. Just walk on down and buy a gun. I can't think of a better day. Get your vehicle fixed and then buy a gun. You know what? We need to slip that in sometime Friday. We'll have to work that in, Mike. Me and Jamie used to do that once in a while at the time. We'd be like, hey, you can get your blinds put in your vehicle, on the windows, and then go ahead and just get your vehicle serviced at Lauer and then head out and go hunting.
Sounds like a
we're
good
gonna have to
idea.
work that.
It's a
We're
good
gonna have to
plan.
work that in. We're gonna have to. So, anyway, I just want to have a quick discussion on it. I think Chevron is a horrible mistake. I think it's going to be challenged yet again at some point. Right now, it stands, and we're going to have to live with it until I can tell you this: if the election goes correctly, and I do believe that if it's a fair election, Trump will win, and if it's a fair election. So if that happens, I think then it will become a moot point because he's going to clean house in those agencies, and I don't think you'll see any more of this crap for 4 years. Then we're going to have the same old BS start if we get the wrong people in there, and that's the problem with executive orders and bureaucratic agencies. They never change.
No.
They just stay the same, and they still intrude on you. So anyway.
Well, no, and we've
You're right.
talked
What's
about-
up with the Supreme Court? He says they've been messing up a lot lately. They have. They really have.
He didn't say what's up, Clay.
No, trying to keep it G-rated.
There we go.
So
It's a G thing. I got you. Yeah, you're down with that.
yeah, all right. Yes, Corey. I said DeSantis did drop out. He did it after. It was a few days ago.
He's going to fight on until he drops out.
And he's back.
And he did endorse Trump. The Vivek, he endorsed Trump. Actually, Trump's picked up a lot of endorsements just since between Iowa and New Hampshire. And
Tim Scott.
I do want to, Tim Scott did too. I do want to address what Corey was asking about and Kelly Armstrong. So Kelly Armstrong, which I figured this was going to happen when I heard that Burgum was not going to run for a third term. And I called this a year ago. I said, I believe that Burgum will not run. Kelly Armstrong will not run for his House seat and will come back and run for governor. And guess what? He just announced, what was it, yesterday or today, that he's going to run for the governor of North Dakota. Kelly Armstrong is. So, Second Amendment wise, Kelly's got a solid record. In fact, he sat on the Judiciary Committee and did an outstanding job in the House on Second Amendment issues. I can't fault him there. On a lot of other things, Kelly Armstrong's an establishment rhino and will do what the establishment wants. That's my take on Kelly. I've met him a few times. He was a good supporter of our NRA banquets. I think that he dodges talking to people. He does not like to be confronted, especially if they disagree with him. And I kind of think he's an arrogant ass. Other than that, he's a solid Second Amendment supporter. So on that, I will not fault him. That's my opinion. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but that's my opinion of Kelly Armstrong. But that does open the door up now for a governorship. And then, of course, Rick Becker announced he's running and for Congress, so that'll be interesting. That kind of leaves that spot open, and I like the fact that Rick has already announced he's going to be running, and I like Rick, so I think that's going to be a fun race to watch. And Rick is a big supporter, and he's the guy pushing to get rid of our property taxes here in North Dakota, and it has about 70% support of the people in surveys, so it really shouldn't be an issue. But you never know. Some people get scared and they think the school's going to fall apart, but that's not really what our show's about. But that's kind of where we're at. I'm not a big Kelly Armstrong supporter, but on the Second Amendment, he is solid. I cannot fault him there. Kind of like Kristi Noem, she was solid on the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and the only thing on Noem is, like me, it's like I'm not a smoker and never have been. I don't give a darn about that here in the state. But right. I know how much money it was going to bring to the state. And in a commercial business that I'm in, where I write commercials, I do commercials all day long. Right. It would have been a huge amount for me and the community and this and that, and for her to have the people. This is my big problem. The people voted overwhelmingly, like 65%, to have marijuana, and then she decided no. And see, that's where I don't like the whole jumping in there and taking away the rule of the people, because it just bothers me. It bothers me when you're a freedom candidate and then you don't let the people speak. And that's
the whole marijuana thing. And my thing with that is where you talk about, so being it's still a federally prohibited item, it's going to affect your gun rights. So just keep that in mind.
I know.
It's still a controlled substance. And as with anything that the government makes illegal or tries to get rid of, what do they create? I kept telling the guys who wanted pot in this state, I go, I don't know why you want the government's involvement. Now it's going to be regulated. Only certain people are going to be able to sell it. They're going to tax it to death. They go, you guys have a free market now. Hey, I said, why don't you just keep doing what you're doing? Because it's not really the fines. It was what, misdemeanors for certain things. Just keep doing what you're doing. I mean,
well, that's one of the things that Biden is going to do. He's in the next 6 months, he is going to go on the federal and do a blanket executive order on the marijuana things for the feds. And it's going to wipe a lot of that out because that's what
which will be overturned. I have no doubt that.
But it won't be overturned and probably until after the election, and that's what he's looking
for. And yeah, it could very well be. It doesn't work. Look at prohibition. That didn't work. One thing I'll say about prohibition is, at least it was a constitutional amendment because the people at that time, decided to raise it as a constitutional amendment, got it passed, got it ratified by enough of the legislatures, and it became law. It was constitutionally done. It wasn't right, but it was constitutionally done. Right. And of course, I guarantee if I'd have been alive in them days, I'd have been a millionaire. My family would be very rich today because I'd have been the biggest bootlegger around. I wouldn't have followed that law.
It created a lot of rich people.
Yes, it did.
In fact, it created NASCAR.
Yeah,
it created NASCAR. There's no way. It's just like I keep telling everybody, they can make guns all illegal if they want, and I ain't afraid. Who knows it? I will not follow that law. I will be a very wealthy man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to follow an unconstitutional law like that. But at least they did do it through the proper channels. They made it a constitutional amendment.
And they can take away bullets and everything else, but as long as people have the knowledge to know how to make gunpowder,
there you go.
That's the thing. It's like you can't taking away, like the guy that does the AR receivers with the 3D printing, and they go after him and everything like that. He opened up the doors for a whole new market. And that is out of the cat is out of the bag now, and people can do that. They have the knowledge now. So, when things break down, people are still going to be able to get what they need.
Yeah. And as long as you can find lead, which lead's pretty still easy to find, and you've got molds, you can make bullets. And I have both. I'm good to go. So I don't like shooting pure lead bullets. I do shoot them on my 45 cowboy action loads, but for the most part, I'd just as soon have the jacketed bullets. Just technology has come a long ways. There's close range. You got to have the pulse fire, and we do still have tickets, guys. By the way, Kenny did a great thing. He used our little thing up here in the corner that says Guns and 701 donation. I had to put it that way because I can't say gun raffle because that's what the AI bots see. So you can go on there and use that for payment. He did it. It worked great, and we got him some tickets. So yeah, it worked great. All right, we got some pretty big comments coming in here.
Yeah.
I like the one Gene said. Gene, this is where I was at too. Majority of South Dakota voted to ban cigarettes in bars and restaurants. I don't smoke, but felt that the issue should be up to the bar owners. I 100% agree. I did not support that law. I wasn't a South Dakota resident at that time anymore, so I couldn't vote. But I would have voted against that because it was up to the private property owner to either allow it or disallow it. And you were already seeing it. I remember in Rapid City, there were several bars that went smoke-free on their own. Guess what? They were busier than the ones that allowed it. And the people who smoked went to the ones that they could smoke. So I think they should have just let that keep playing out. But they didn't. They decided.
Well, the government is not happy until they say their way.
Yep.
And, unless it's their way, there is no other way.
Well, and let's not forget, if they really, really hate cigarettes as much, I'm just going to pick on tobacco. If they really hate it as much as they say they do, ban it then. But they won't because of the taxes they collect. Mm-hmm. The government's the biggest beneficiary of tobacco because of the tobacco taxes, whether it's at the federal, state, or county, or even municipality level.
One of the things as an advertiser that I create advertisement for a living, one of the things that bothers me the most is these truth advertisements that always are anti-smoking. They get paid from money from the tobacco companies. All these kids are out there looking all hip and cool and everything else. And no, don't smoke because it's this and that. And I'm like, you're getting paid from the tobacco sales to make these ads. People have got salaries and everything else coming straight from the tobacco company to say against the tobacco, and to me that's a hypocritic way to go through life.
Yeah, it's all follow the money, as with anything else. Follow the money.
Yeah, follow the
So I got to put Kenny's up here. He says, 1.5 years ago, I sat in a helicopter hangar in Bismarck with 450 members of the Army Guard and their families. The 4 state reps sat up front and gave their speeches. Armstrong got up with such an arrogance in his voice and gave a shit speech. And then he sat down, and chewed gum like a little 5-year-old, mouth wide open and literally smacking. He said, there's no bigger insult to the military than smacking on gum. My wife grabbed my arm as he walked by because I was going to confront him about it. Zero respect for that piece of crap. He isn't well liked in the military community. And I've heard that before.
There you go.
And like I said, all I can tell you is I've had a few dealings with Kelly. I can tell you on the Second Amendment, he's solid. I can tell you that. But when you confront him about something, that guy, he will try to duck and hide, and listen when he goes on the radio stations. He only goes on the ones that are friendly to him and won't take hard questions, and that's Kelly. I don't think he's an outstanding person personally, but he is solid on the Second Amendment.
Right.
And when he might be solid on the Second Amendment now, but when he gets in a higher position of power and bigger checks are being written by the right people, will he sway on his stance on the Second Amendment in their favor?
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think that a Republican in North Dakota could ever win being against the Second Amendment. That seems to be a line even the middle-of-the-road Republicans won't cross. So we'll see. That could change. I look at how the population and where they're coming from into the state of North Dakota, and I'm telling you guys, there's a shift coming, and it's going to overpower us if we don't put a stop to it. Just is. So, all right. Well, so anybody want to add anything to the Chevron? I don't think we're beyond that.
I think we're good on that one.
Good. I know I got 2 bullet points down. I don't know if anyone wants to mention. If you got anything you want to go with that, otherwise, I think we'll move on to the happy ending unless you got anything else.
I got one thing, but can we do it after the commercials real quick? Or we got commercials again? Yeah.
Maybe we'll do that. Take a quick break here. We'll do a couple commercials. We'll come back and we'll do a couple subjects possibly. And then Vance has a happy ending of the week for us. So
there we go.
Stay with us.
Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Discover the world of firearms at Bismarck's Double H Gun Shop. With a wide range of products from handguns to rifles, we cater to all your shooting needs. We are your local gun experts. Not only do we sell firearms, reloading supplies, targets, and whatever your heart desires, but we also have a ton of knowledge and answers.
We shoot, we hunt, we compete, we reload.
It's been the Howard's way since 1976, and we ain't fixing to change anything. Visit our website at hhgunshop.com to browse our inventory. Double H Gun Shop, Bismarck's best new and used firearm reloading supply, gunsmithing, and sporting goods store. Double H Guns.
Double H Guns.
1021 South Washington Street, Bismarck, North Dakota. Call 701-223-4888.
All right. Hey, I love that too. So again, we want to thank our sponsors and we want to welcome Double H Guns. I tell you what, we're glad to have another sponsor on the show, and we welcome them to the little Guns and 701 family.
Awesome. Real quick, I got one thing before we get to Vance, and of course it's PETA, our good friends PETA. Yeah. They're calling for Puxatawny Phil to be retired. I read this in my prep today when I was doing my show here in Mitchell. They're offering to replace Puxatawny Phil with a giant gold coin that one side has, of course, 6 more weeks of winter. The other side has 1 more, or early spring on the other side, and they want to replace. And I'm like going, first off, nobody listens to PETA other than radio DJs that want to make fun of them. And it's a tradition. And I'll tell you what, if there's one animal that lives pretty nicely, it's Puxatawny Phil. He ain't got it rough. No, not at all. I mean, it's kind of envious on that, but yeah. But PETA's always got to have their nose in something. It doesn't matter what it is.
Doesn't matter what.
If the sky is blue, they say it's another color. It just drives me crazy. But yeah, once again, though, it's one of these things where I'm reading this here in the 605, but up in the 701, you guys don't get them up there very often, do you? Well, maybe in Fargo.
Maybe in Fargo. The only time I ever saw PETA, they contacted me when we did our coyote hunts down here in Morristown, and I invited them all to come on down, come to the hunt when we were checking in, and with a bunch of guys with guns and drinking a few, and with a lot of dead coyotes. I said, "Come on down, we'll welcome you down." And they didn't
make you a steak.
I mean, I think they thought they were going to scare us. And I told that guy, I said, "Tell you what, I live down here in the middle of Standing Rock Indian Reservation." I said, "Why don't you come on down in the middle of nowhere here?" I said, "I welcome you to come down and try to talk to all these guys with guns that carry openly, as well as they're having a good time." I said, "Just come on down, start your little protest." But I said, "I don't think you're going to be happy."
Well, even if they wanted to just come down and do their speech, you know what? For the guys that weren't laughing, and once they're done, I mean, what do they accomplish? They accomplish nothing in this world. I got to tell you, when I was a very young and thin man in radio, it was in the early days.
Time ago.
We had a morning show, and PETA had planned to protest one of the steakhouses in town. This is out in South Carolina. And I'm sorry to tell you this, Vance, but I dressed up as well, let's just say I had a suit on that was covered in pork rinds. And you had the choice to either go with PETA or come take a pork rind off of me. Well, I was completely ripped off of all the pork rinds by the time it was done, and people were just eating right in front of them, like trying to make it as exaggerating as possible. Like, it was just driving them crazy. I wish that was before we had phones with cameras. So yeah, those are days that I wish.
We're all thankful for that.
Yeah.
We might be in jail still.
Days.
I don't know,
but the good days for that. But I mean, and they had no sense of humor on it at all. I don't know.
No. Oh, I only had that one run in with them here. They were out of Fargo. I knew that. I think they I don't know if they got one in Bismarck. They might now. Maybe Dan knows if they got one over in Dickinson, because they've been spreading out, and they're out there, but they didn't really take a foothold out here too much. I can't imagine why, livestock country, but
they're big fans of Tess.
I'm sure they are. So, all right. Well, Vance, so you got a happy ending of the week for us this week?
I do. Right here in Sandy Springs, Georgia.
I'll tell you what, before you do that, we have got to have the intro, don't we? All right. Here's the happy ending of the week. I knew you did. You had to have the intro.
Gotta have that.
All right, man. Take it away.
Right here in Sandy Springs, Georgia. It's about an hour north of me. It's up north on the north side of Atlanta. A homeowner in Sandy Springs, Georgia, shot and killed a home invasion suspect, police said, in an incident they characterized as the homeowner utilizing his Second Amendment rights for home defense. A release from the Sandy Springs Police Department stated an unknown male unlawfully entered a residence in Spalding Drive and threatened to harm the homeowner. Someone else in the home called 911 as the situation unfolded a little after 2 a.m. on Sunday morning. As officers were en route, the homeowner, exercising his Second Amendment right to bear arms, defended himself and his family from bodily harm by shooting the suspect. The Sandy Springs Police Department said officers found the suspect dead when they arrived on the scene. Sandy Springs Police Department detectives responded and are continuing their investigation. The release said, at this time, it is believed that this is an isolated incident. The department did not indicate if the homeowner was considered justified or if there might be possible charges of the incident. So the homeowner wins. Good guy with a gun.
There you go.
Good guy with the gun. Took care of business. Yeah, happy ending of the week.
There we go.
Down in Georgia, all the way to Georgia. See, we got to have a Georgia. I mean, we've got South Dakota now with Mike, and you with Georgia. So I'm still the North Dakota guy, but we got it all.
We're 3 states wide. There we go.
We're we're
Tri-state.
heard
We're
tri-state wide, right? I see we had a few people tuning in from other areas, so that's nice
Yep.
to see. And on thank
My boy was on there. He's from Tennessee.
that's Bengals fan. I guess that's a foosball thing.
No, I got my hat on right there. So.
No, I know.
Foosball.
Yeah,
Foosball.
foosball.
You
You guys
boys
can
playing
catch
the
that at first.
foosball.
And guys, I want to thank everybody on Rumble. I was watching the Rumble channel. We got quite a few listening in over there tonight. So thanks again. I wish I could get the feed here for the comments. I'm working on that. It took me a long time to figure out how to actually live stream over there. It's not as simple as you think on Rumble. But again, appreciate everybody over there on Rumble listening to us tonight too. So, well, I guess I don't have a whole lot of anything else that we need to cover tonight. I think we can tell everybody what we got coming up, though. I think Mike's got a little something. What are we doing on Friday with Mitchell in the morning?
Oh, we're going to be talking to KFYR about some of the new South Dakota bills that have been taken out of or passed through committee, looking to not only get your homeowners association out of your gun safe, but also looking at extending the grace period for renewals and enhanced permits carry 180 days to 12 months, of course, passed, and also waiting to see on that RV thing they were talking about, as well as they've got out-of-staters that they were trying to punish because they have a South Dakota residence, and that. And we might bring up that thing we were talking about last week as well, Clay, that you were interested in, about the fact that you can't carry a concealed weapon on you on a motorcycle in South Dakota. And I think that Mitchell in the morning might have said that was in North Dakota as well.
And I didn't get a chance to check on it yet, but I almost think that's the same rule up here. But I maybe if someone knows, let me know, because I don't know if it is. It's something we need to look at for the 2025 session. Definitely need to do it in South Dakota. It's probably too late, I imagine, to introduce anything at this point now in South Dakota. But that is something we need to change. It's been overlooked for way too long. I was kind of working on it when I was still a rep down there in South Dakota, but we didn't get any traction with it. And then most of the guys I had real good contacts with, they're not in there anymore. So we're going to have to just work on it, find our NRA people that are in the state house and Senate and work on it. Up here, I'm not worried about it. I bet you a lot of people up here, if that is the case up here, they don't know either. So we need to find that out if that's the case, and we need to change that. It's just one of them things that got put out there and they probably got neglected over the years and no one knew it. So,
and I believe it was completely put in there because of Sturgis.
I think you're right.
100% because of Sturgis, and they were pressuring somebody on that. So it got passed through, and I don't know how.
David says he's never seen anything about that in North Dakota, and I can't say I have either. Just it seemed like someone said it, but I can't verify it. I need to go look it up.
I never saw it until I had to retake my motorcycle test. And
I know South Dakota has
it. It was in the book, yeah.
And I think you're right. It's just like South Dakota never had a helmet law. Well, they're never going to have a helmet law. Not in South Dakota. They don't care how much federal money they lose because you have the biggest rally in this part of the country that brings in way more probably than what they'd ever see on any kind of federal fund. They don't care.
It's biggest in the country, period.
Biggest in the country.
It is.
So, all right. So, Friday, guys, remember, KFYR 5:50 a.m. It's going to be live with Mitchell in the morning at 8:15 Central, 7:15 Mountain. And we're on there till the top of the hour, but it's about a 27-minute show with the commercials, but we definitely go live right here on all the platforms as well. And of course, we do upload it to the iHeart Radio podcast and every place else you get it, so you can grab it there. And then I'm a little behind, but we usually do update the website as well. Last week we didn't have it on; we couldn't get it to work. I was gone last week.
That was all me.
Well, that's okay. But I did get it from Todd here, so now it is up there. So if you get on there, you can listen. It was a great show. I thought you guys did a great job. But again, Mitchell in the morning, every Friday morning, and now with the liberal, as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Beld on the morning show right after us on KFYR, you get your first dose of good constitutional conservative with Guns in the 701 on Mitchell in the morning every Friday at 8:15 Central, 7:15 Mountain. So tune in. Because it don't get no better for 2 hours after that until you get to playing Buck. You might as well skip where Dakota time.
That's
Anyway.
nap time. Nap time.
Nap time. Yeah, I just, what a joke of a show now. But anyway, that's my opinion of it anyway. I don't get paid, so I can say what I want.
Yeah.
Oh, Eric says if you put a playing card in your spokes on a pedal bike so you sound like a motorcycle, it's still illegal to carry. Good question. Good question. I don't know.
I'd like to see a video of that, Eric.
That would be funny. New
Yeah.
video there, Eric.
We-
There you go.
We need video, Eric.
And then, of course, you can hear us every Wednesday night right here, 6 o'clock p.m. Mountain, 7 o'clock Central. And again, you can find us on the website, gunsinthe701.com. You can find us on all the platforms. You can find us on Rumble. I've been really pushing the Rumble thing because they're a freedom-minded platform versus YouTube. And then, of course, on all of our podcast platforms, iHeart's probably the easiest one to find. So, yeah, check us out, guys. We got it. We're everywhere. It's not hard to find us, I don't think.
And in a few weeks, Clay and I, unfortunately, Mike won't be joining us.
Not this time, no.
And the Rax Adventure team will be going down to Florida to hunt hogs. We do it annually. This will be my 8th year straight going down there. And Clay's been many times. And we are going to do a live broadcast from Florida hog camp.
That's the plan. Yeah, I think we can do that. We're going to check it out when we first get down there. And yeah, we'll join Mike. Mike will be at the helm right here.
Yeah.
But, and I don't know if Jamie's going to join you. I know I talked about it. By the way, don't miss 701 Nation tomorrow night. Same place, same time. 701 Nation. Jamie's going to have Scott Buckmeyer with Dakota Prairie Outdoors. And like I said, we still have some flamethrower tickets still available. 20. Let's say there's about 50 of them left. $20 a piece, guys, and you can get in on the Pulse Fire UBF, and that means under barrel, basically flamethrower. You can mount it right under the barrel of your AR-15. That's pretty cool, I can tell you that. So get them now, and that's just there you go. You got to put a rail on there. But with that,
He's got a rail.
He got a rail. Oh, David says it's going to be a wild hour. So, yes, it will. Because David will be down there with us. That's one of the guys coming with us, Vance. So, yeah, we're going to have some fun when we get down there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look for that live broadcast. As we're going to try to be joining you guys live from Hog Camp. Now, remember, we're 2 hours ahead. It'll be 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, just.
I come on here at 8 o'clock. So, it'd be same as Florida, 8 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah. But, yeah, looking forward to it. Should be a great time. And I guess with that, we'll see everybody on Friday, unless you guys got anything else you want to add.
No, wait a minute. Hold on a second. 1 second. Keep your powder dry.
Keep your powder dry. There's the chemistry of gunpowder. And with that, guys, take care. And we will see everybody. Oh, what's going on there? Huh? Sorry.
All right, I'm trying.
We're having
Hold
some
on.
fun, ain't we? All right. With that, we'll see everybody Friday. And we'll see everybody next Wednesday. Keep your powder dry, and we'll catch everybody next.